Welcome to this press briefing on our strategic dialogue on the Western Balkans here at the World Economic Forum in Geneva. We have an amazing panel before us, but before we begin, I would like to hand over the floor to the Executive Chairman and Founder of the World Economic Forum, Professor Klaus Schwab, to introduce the results of this briefing that's been taking place for the past 2 days. So, Professor Schwab.
Thank you very much, Adrian. My colleague Børge Brende will afterwards try to summarize the results. I just will give you 4 reasons why the World Economic Forum, as the international organization for public-private organization, is actually taking an initiative like this one to organize a process of dialogue. First, the Forum has a long tradition in advancing regional reconciliation, integration and cooperation processes, acting always as an independent, impartial and, I should add, trusted platform. Second, we believe that political cooperation, economic development and social progress are interconnected and require an integrated approach. So we do not just discuss political, but also social, economic issues. Fourth, as you know, the Forum is the foremost or the leading organization driving the fourth industrial revolution. We believe that the new technologies can help to strengthen the competitiveness of countries and can accelerate their economic development. And finally, fourth, we believe that in the present political and economic context, it is crucial for each region, the Balkans or Europe, to maximize coherence, self-confidence and self-resilience. In a turbulent world, agility, connectivity, and resilience are key to succeed, and this is particularly relevant for the Western Balkans.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to hand over to the president of the World Economic Forum, Børge Brende. But just to formally introduce our distinguished panel, we have President Vučić of Serbia, Prime Minister Rama of Albania, Prime Minister Plenković of Croatia, Prime Minister Zaev of North Macedonia. We have Matthew Palmer, the US Special Representative for the Western Balkans, joining us, and Majlinda Bregu, Secretary General of the Regional Cooperation Council from Sarajevo. So I'm going to hand over now to Børge Brende.
Thank you, Adrian, and not at least thank you to all the leaders, not only from West Balkans, South East Europe, but also from Europe and also the US and Turkey. A lot of leaders joined us for this strategic dialogue today. We started this in 2018, World Economic Forum as the International Organization for Public-Private Cooperation. We felt that without investments, without economic prosperity, this region would also be much more vulnerable. And what we learned today is that when it comes to economic growth and investments, things are not looking that bad in the Western Balkans. It is really also some silver linings, so we should not only have a pessimistic outlook. On the economic side, there are major steps being taken by each of these countries, not only on reviving and securing economic growth, it's also about inclusive economic growth, it's also about jobs in the future, but it is also a prerequisite for further development that there is more integration in the region. And here there are a lot of opportunities / challenges. We discussed today also the possibility for kind of a light internal market in the West Balkans. We also discussed this notion of a mini Schengen in the region. We agreed that the forum in collaboration also with other players, will launch this accelerator for entrepreneurship and innovation. We will also continue to work on competitiveness. That is really increased productivity in the region, and we will establish a competitiveness council that will be important for increasing the growth and jobs and competitiveness. Of course, we all know that the last week have been also a lot about extension and the political horizon for the West Balkan countries. And there is no secret that this was also discussed. Very frank and open discussion. We have the Prime Minister also from Croatia with us that will speak later, that has the EU presidency in the spring. We also had the incoming High Rep of the EU, Borrell, with us. We also had Elysée represented in the meeting today, the special envoy for President Macron. So we had a very rich discussion both on how to increase integration in the region, political possible solutions, and also how we all can support this important transition of the West Balkans. West Balkans is crucial not only for Europe but also for the Caucasus, for Levant, for the whole larger region. So it is a lot at stake, and the World Economic Forum, as also Professor Schwab mentioned, we feel very committed, and we will continue this dialogue in Davos, our annual meeting next year. That also happens to be our 50th anniversary, and we will be there together with the Croatian presidency during the meeting in Zagreb in May, where we have a special dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. President Vučić, can I call on you?
Thank you very much. I'll do my best to be as brief as it is possible, and I'm not going to speak about competitiveness, connectivity, networking, and everything else that everybody will reiterate during this press conference. I would like to say something in a different way. I think that Serbia is not that Euro-optimistic country as it is the case with Albania or North Macedonia. We are on our EU path, and what do we expect? It's a type of different approach than the others have from the Western Balkans or Southeast Europe. Doesn't matter however you call it. We don't pray, we don't beg anyone for anything. We just ask for, I would say, clear path or clear future. We need to know, and that's why I asked many people within European Union, okay, even if we resolve our problems with Pristina, whether we can count on the fact that we become a new member state in 2025, some other year, and then we didn't get any answers. Our question is, and we hope that we're going to get it, response on Zagreb summit in May 2020, and we hope that there will be some political decisions, not only technical bureaucratic approach, which is always called in a way merit-based approach done by European Union, which you all know that it has never been the case. You just start with several EU countries today. If you see the level of development of those countries in 2005, 2007, they were even much poorer than us, and even today we wouldn't be the poorest country of European Union, believe it or not. And just, of course, we know that we need to do many other things regarding rule of law, regarding further economic reforms, but yes, we are ready to do so. And you just tell us, we are not going to be very much disappointed as all our other partners. Just tell us, whether you want us, whether you don't want us. We want to have a clear situation, and we'll take care of ourselves in the region. We are not minors, we are not juveniles anymore. We know what we need to do for our citizens, for our people. That's why we were elected, and that's it. Thank you once again, Børge, for organizing this wonderful meeting. We were all, dare to say, very passionate to listen and to learn many things from different people, from different countries, and thank you once again for having us here.
Thank you. Prime Minister Rama.
Thank you. I first of all want to underline that based on my memory of this initiative, this was absolutely the most fascinating and the most helpful meeting in this path of making also this forum growing, and thank you for also giving us the opportunity to be part of an audience with key people from key parts of the European Union that through their explanations and through their opinions helped us to understand a bit more, although still we need to understand a lot more, because it's absolutely the case that we are in this moment feeling like a boat in the middle of the sea after the compass has been taken away brutally. So it's very important for us to know exactly. And it's very clear that if the process of the European integration has been characterized in the last, let's say, 5-6 years, at least, by more and more unpredictability, what happened in October made it absolutely unpredictable. So as we speak, there is no more possibility to know what you need to do to get what you are looking for, as it is clear that what the nature of decisions in the European Council is much more about the European member states themselves than what we do or we not do. It's much more about what they want for EU to be or not to be than for what they want from us to do or not to do. And of course, we are not countries that are ready to become members, and that's why if the game of merit-based is transformed in blaming, anytime that there is a lack of capacity to make a consensual decision, this is really not making any good to the EU and to the process. And finally, I would absolutely underline that we didn't enter in this process because someone in Berlin or in Paris or in Brussels imposed us to do. We entered in this process because it's exactly what our people, our nation, our kids need, and we'll continue to do it exactly for them first and foremost. But still, we know also that there is a lot of potential in the region to be unleashed, and we will do our best to make it possible through increasing the regional cooperation and through doing our best to avoid that this kind of blind decision or non-decision of October backlashes on our public opinions and on our future. Of course, for Alexander it's easier because, as he said, he has a not so much euro-optimistic nation, but still, I don't think that because for us it's more difficult, we have to cry or to beg or to whatever, because at the end, as I said, it's for our kids and for the next generations, not because not for this generation of leaders in Europe. And last but not least, I think it's also absolutely key to say this. The European Union needs the Western Balkans or the Southeast Europe as much as the Southeast Europe needs the European Union. Who doesn't understand it doesn't understand a lot about the stakes and about the challenges of the today and of the future.
Thank you very much. And before moving on to Prime Minister Plenković, just to introduce the Chairman of the Council of Ministers of Bosnia and Herzegovina, Mr. Denis Zvizdic.
Thank you very much. As I have pointed out many times, membership in European Union has no alternative for the Bosnia and Herzegovina and, in my opinion, for entire region on the one side. On the other side, full integration of the Western Balkans regions in European Union is interest of Europe. So European Union need Western Balkan, and Western Balkan, of course, need European Union for many reasons, because we understand that European integration are still the most efficient tools for adopting European values, for implementing reforms in our region, and for fostering stability, security, and economic prosperity. If we want to ensure safe and stable environment for all citizens, not only in the Bosnia and Herzegovina, but in entire region, Western Balkans region, if we want to ensure the permanent peace on long-term stability and economic prosperity, European Union should keep supporting European perspective of Western Balkans region and should keep investing in the Western Balkans region. It's very, very important for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Prime Minister Plenković.
Thank you very much. Good morning. First of all, my gratitude to the World Economic Forum, to Klaus, to Borge, to Martina for another really interesting, substantial, and honest exchange of views during the strategic dialogue that we had yesterday and this morning here in Geneva on the topics of the Western Balkans. I think there is no more appropriate place than to discuss these items than in the heart of the debate globally on the fourth industrial revolution and the future trends which are awaiting the whole world. So this is like a teaser what we are supposed to be debating also in the region of the Southeast Europe. My second point is that Croatia will have its first ever presidency of the Council of the European Union as of 1st of January. We have provided a motto which says a strong Europe in a world full of challenges, with 4 priorities. 1, Europe that develops. The other, Europe that connects. The third one, very important in recent years, Europe that protects. And the fourth one, Europe that is influential globally and in its neighborhood, including the Southeast Europe. That brings me to the third point, which is the organization of the Zagreb Summit in May in Croatia. Together, on one side, members, heads of state and government of the EU, and on the other, all neighbors and friends from the countries in the region. Exactly 20 years after the first Zagreb summit that was organized back in 2000 at the initiative of President Chirac. Croatia seems to be in these 20 years the only country that has made it. That is to say, from a European perspective notion to a full member already 6.5 years. We would like our neighbors to continue in that direction, in that path. The European Council, which unfortunately did not take the decision to open the accession negotiations on Albania and Northern Macedonia, was maybe a trigger for a more open debate amongst the EU members on how to proceed generally with the concept of enlargement, how to proceed with internal reforms of the Union, and how to tackle the long-awaited decision for the 2 countries, and also in the future for Bosnia and Herzegovina, which is a neighboring and a strategic country for Croatia that we are supporting and helping in many ways, but also in the perspective, besides the negotiations already ongoing with Serbia and Montenegro for Kosovo one day. That is why we need to forge a consensus. that will move forward this process. European perspective is essential for stability, for economic development, and for attaining the values which are important and shared by all the countries in the region. We should not send messages that will disillusion not only the leaders, but the citizens and the publics in the countries of South and Eastern Europe. That's why we need to be well calibrated and more careful and thoughtful, and I would say even resourceful at the Zagreb summit to make a consensus that will be positive for everyone involved. Croatia has a lot of goodwill and intention to help. I'm extremely grateful that the World Economic Forum will co-host together with the Croatian presidency a high-level session within the dates 6th and 7th of May when the Zagreb summit will happen and bring us an added value and a point of view that is always, I would say, enlarging our optics of how we should be following the trends and making steps towards the full convergence with those countries that are more developed than the countries in Southeast Europe. Thank you.
Thank you. Prime Minister Zaev.
First of all, thank you to the World Economic Forum. It's a really great occasion for all of us in this specific time for the Southeastern Europe or Western Balkan to talk about the future cooperation inside, but also future integration of the whole region in the European Union. Really, from the country with a new name, I'm Prime Minister of Republic of North Macedonia. It's not a matter of waiting so much years to be in candidate country, 14 years. It's not only because we restore completely multi-ethnic society in a very good way, building one society for all. It's not only reforms, it's not only agreement with Bulgaria, PRESPA agreement with Greece. We restore completely democracy in our country. We back democracy from authoritarian regime. A lot of things change in the country. Why? Because of this hope that we will go further in our European Union integration. So somebody called that really we do so much. We became even north and get colder, and now it's frozen. But today, for me, it's a shine through this sunshine through these talks, because really, European Union know, and also everybody who talk here, European Union sent the signals that there is no alternative than full membership of European Union for this region, that there is no other way for the Western Balkan than the way what we expected, and that is process of integration of the whole region in European Union, and also that there is no countries who are against enlargement. That is also a very important message, because that we needed that to continuing our process. As we talk and concluded, really with bad decisions from European Union, there is a lot of possibility to increase nationalism and populism and radicalism in the region, what is not very good for this region. And what Mr. Krastev told also, it's a matter of integration in the European Union if we do it collectively or individually, because that is the way of our citizens in this region. I think that for us it's more clear, because here was the very important persons from Germany, from France, from of course other countries like Greece, like Croatia, Bulgaria, Slovenia, and other countries who are very helpful for us. And I will conclude it with that. I think next half of the year, that means first half of 2020, can be very good for us, because Croatia have possibility to be presidency of European Union. That means more focus to the whole region. I'm very grateful because Andrei is very much focused for this agenda, and I think that we need to continue with our reforming process, and of course to wait in Zagreb summit positive decision, not only for my country, North Macedonia, not only for Albania, but also for the whole region from Southeastern Europe. Thank you.
Thank you. Also delighted to welcome the Deputy Prime Minister of Montenegro, Zoran Pajin. Mr. Pajin.
Hello, everybody. First of all, I would like to express how much we appreciate this initiative and all efforts of organizer to collect us here to discuss such an important subject. Our utmost interest is not to ask for speedy accession, but to be internal ready for integration, first of all by adopting European standards which reflect European values and providing to our citizens European quality of life. So we don't expect Europe to turn a blind eye to our weaknesses. Montenegro has never in its long history had a free lunch, and we most certainly don't expect one this time. Quite the opposite. We are determined to work hard on building a society that fully respects European rule and standards. Still, what we expect altogether from our European partners is to recognize a real progress that our countries are making as the front runners of the EU integration process. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Can I turn to Secretary General Bregu, please?
Well, thank you very much, and thank you, Björg and Martina, for organizing this strategic dialogue on Western Balkans today, which I should compliment based on two outcomes. The first one, the common sense that the regional integration cannot move ahead without European integration. And while we'll be waiting to be clarified on the European enlargement, definitely we need to enlarge among ourselves and to enlarge our cooperation. And on that regard, I'm glad that from today we are formalizing and deepening our cooperation with World Economic Forum. RCC, the Regional Cooperation Council, will be the local coordinator of the Accelerator on Innovation and Competitiveness, which I think it's a very good idea to foster the partnership between public and private sector in the region. It's not that it's doing quite well. So I think that for Southeast Europe and the economic development, this is a very good result. Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, grateful to have with us the US Special Representative for the Western Balkans, Matthew Palmer.
Thanks very much, and thanks to the World Economic Forum for organizing this event. The convening power of the forum is simply extraordinary, and grateful for the opportunity to be here today. The United States remains committed to the European perspective of the Western Balkans. That has been the foundation for American engagement in the region for more than 20 years. That has not changed. It will not change. It's also why the inability of the European Council to reach consensus on opening accession negotiations with North Macedonia and Albania was so deeply disappointing. But that's not the final word. We're hopeful that the European Council will be able to revisit that issue in advance of the May leaders meeting in Zagreb, find the necessary consensus, and begin that important process and send that important signal to the region. In the meantime, as the United States steps forward in the Western Balkans and as the European Union is in some danger of being perceived and the region is stepping back, the region itself is stepping up. The commitment on the part of Serbia, North Macedonia, and Albania to promoting cooperation through the so-called mini Schengen initiative is heartening. It's a demonstration of leaders in the region taking responsibility for their own destiny, taking control of their own future. The architecture of this initiative is open-ended. There's room for Montenegro, for Bosnia and Herzegovina, for Kosovo. It's a promising initiative, one that has our support and one that we are committed to working in partnership with the leaders of the Western Balkans to advance. Thank you very much.
Thank you to all our panelists. We do have a very brief window to get some questions. If I could ask someone with a question, could you raise your hand? Could you also, when you ask your question, identify who you are and the organization you represent? If I can just get a sense in the room, if there are questions from the conference, gentlemen at the back, and can you just please wait till we get a microphone to you.
Mladen Sirovica, Croatian Public Television. I have a question for Prime Minister Plenković. So you already stated that you strongly disagree with the decision of postponing of start of negotiations with North Macedonia and Albania. Do you think that it could be a topic that could be on the table while Croatia has the presidency? And also if you could comment on the statements of President Macron, and not only regarding those two countries, but also regarding Bosnia and Herzegovina. Mr. Zvizdic can also comment on that. Thank you.
Thank you. And do we also have a question for the gentleman who had the microphone originally?
Dobar dan, Boris Mišović sa RTL televizije. Imam pitanje za predsjednika Srbije, gospodina Vučića. Prvo je, pošto ste već rekli da još uvijek niste donijeli odluku hoćete li doći u Zagreb na konvenciju Europske pučke stranke, pitanje je kada ćete donijeti odluku i kako komentirate na burne reakcije koje su se dogodile u dijelu hrvatske javnosti. I drugo pitanje za vas, molim vas, kako komentirate na namjeru vojske Srbije da podigne spomen ploču, ako se ne varam, majoru Bratiću, koji je bio dio JNA kada je realiziran napad na Vukovar. Evo, ta dva pitanja, molim vas lijepo.
If I can turn first to Prime Minister.
I will answer in English so that everybody understands, even though a lot of us do understand. Regarding the Zagreb summit, it's true that Croatia was one of the countries that was advocating the opening of accession negotiations, both with Northern Macedonia and Albania, because we felt that the Commission was serious enough to evaluate whether the readiness was ripe, and we thought that the moment was right, let alone the courage that Zoran had in order to change the name, the constitution, and all the other items which we followed over last almost 2 years. What we are trying to do is trying to get a consensus among 28, which is critical, not easy on this issue. I believe we have a lot of arguments on the table which are valid. I think the key is that the new European Commission, and I'm happy that Mr. Brok is here, who is now advising Jean-Claude Juncker, but closely working with Ursula von der Leyen, understands the importance of Southeast Europe and the path of these countries towards the EU. It would be ideal if we could resolve this issue of opening the accession negotiations before Zagreb summit, so that we can have a more strategic debate in order to have a referential meeting for, let's say, next decade. This is our original idea, a very political summit trying to lay out the path. We will talk to our partners, including, of course, with key countries which had some reservations 3 weeks ago. It is important to have everyone on board in this issue. This is critical. Everybody should be on board. On the items of the interview, I would leave this for a later comment that we will have only with the Croatian journalists, because it might be too much now. Thank you.
Thank you. I think also Mr. Zvizdic. Yep.
Evo kratak komentar u vezi sa izjavom predsjednika Macrona. U skladu sa informacijama institucija Bosne i Hercegovine i nadležnih agencija, kao i agencija sa kojima surađujemo u našem regionu, u Europskoj uniji i Sjedinjenim Američkim Državama, te informacije nisu bazirane na relevantnim činjenicama. Naprotiv, svi izvještaji relevantnih međunarodnih institucija i agencija koje se bave pitanjima borbe protiv terorizma definišu Bosnu i Hercegovinu kao vrlo kredibilnog partnera u borbi protiv terorizma. Možemo to pogledati u zadnjem izvještaju State Departmenta, koji je upravo tako definisao sve napore koje ulažemo u posljednjih nekoliko godina u borbi protiv terorizma. U zadnje 3 godine niti jedan državljanin Bosne i Hercegovine nije otišao na strano ratište i niti je jedan državljan Bosne i Hercegovine imao bilo kakvoga učešća u bilo kakvom terorističkom aktu koji se u posljednjih 4 ili 5 godina desio u Evropi ili bilo gdje u svijetu. Dakle, napravili smo vrlo ozbiljan iskorak i progres u borbi protiv terorizma, organizovanog kriminala i svih oblika ekstremizma. Ostajemo snažno posvećeni tom pitanju. Dio smo međunarodne globalne koalicije za borbu protiv ISIL-a i u tom smislu smo ocjenjeni kao vrlo, vrlo kredibilan partner od strane svih obavještajnih i drugih institucija i agencija, ponavljam, ne samo u našem regionu, Evropi, nego evo i od strane drugih država, posebno Sjedinjenih Američkih Država. Naravno, mi ćemo nastaviti raditi sa našim prijateljima iz Francuske kako bi dodatno pojasnili situaciju u Bosni i Hercegovini i poziciju Bosne i Hercegovine, ali sasvim sigurno Bosna i Hercegovina ne predstavlja bilo kakvu opasnost bilo kome, niti u regionu, niti u Evropi i u tom smislu takvi podaci sasvim sigurno nisu bazirani na relevantnim faktima.
I really understood properly. Dakle, Srpska napredna stranka, čiji sam i dalje predsjednik, je član Evropske narodne partije. Imamo najviši mogući status koji jedna politička partija iz zemlje nečlanice Evropske unije može da ima. Dobio sam poziv od, naravno, predsjedavajućeg Evropske narodne partije i od domaćina, ali donosit ću odluku u skladu sa interesima i Srbije, i stranke koju vodim, ali razume se i bilateralnih odnosa sa Hrvatskom. Za nas su važni ti bilateralni odnosi i žao mi je što svaki put kada treba da razgovaramo o bilo čemu, jedan deo hrvatskog društva, pretpostavljam iz vašeg ugla jedan deo našeg društva, uvek oko toga pravi veliku buku i velike probleme. Pre nego što sam ušao na ovu konferenciju, dobio sam od srpskih medija slično pitanje kako ste mi postavili, oni su doduše to drugačije rekli. Rekli su kako nije sramota hrvatske medije da vas pitaju bilo šta o spomen ploči za koju sam saznao od Andreja, pošto pojma nisam imao o svemu što se zbiva, kako ih nije sramota da vas to pitaju, kada oni imaju ulice Mile Budaka, koji je tražio 1/3 Srba da budu pobijeni, 1/3 da budu prebačeni u katoličanstvo, a 1/3 proterani, i kada oni podižu spomenik osuđenom teroristi Miri Barišiću, i to javni spomenik, a ne u okviru nekih prostorija. A ja hoću sve to, i na to sam odgovorio da pre svega hoću da govorim o budućnosti i da ću da se upoznam sa svim predmetima i da vidim, jer ne vidim bilo kakve probleme u budućim strateškim odnosima između Srbije i Hrvatske, što niko naravno ne želi da prenese, jer nikome valjda ne odgovara da kaže i neku dobru reč o našim odnosima. Ne vidim šta to u strateškom i strategijskom smislu može da stoji na putu boljih odnosa između Srbije i Hrvatske u budućnosti, bez obzira na dnevno političke sukobe, svađe. Uzgled da vam kažem, kad god me vi napadnete, meni to nikakav problem nije, naprotiv. Još malo uradite na tome da ljudi u Srbiji me vole i malo više, a inače nemam problema s tim rejtinzima. Hvala.
Thank you. And if any of our other panelists would like to contribute, please just come in on that. Otherwise, we'll move to the lady in the center and take the question from the back.
Denada Škodrani from Albanian Public Television. I have a question for Mr. Palmer. Mr. Palmer, how do you evaluate the Albanian progress in this process? Thank you.
Thank you. And if we can just pass over the microphone to the lady on the back row.
Gordana Uzelec, TV Pink from Serbia. I have a question for the President of Serbia. Mr. Palmer mentioned mini Schengen. So did you talk about your initiative of Balkans Regional Economic Zone during this meeting? And do you have World Economic Forum representative support it exactly? And my second question, postavit ću ga na srpskom, samo da se nadovežem. Kako očekujete da Hrvatska podrži Srbiju na evropskom putu ako se pravi toliko buke oko vašeg dolaska na EPP u Zagreb? Hvala.
Thank you very much. Can I turn first to Matthew Palmer?
Sure. Just to clarify, if I might, the question is in regard to the current political impasse in Albania. Is that what you're referring to? We'd very much like to see progress on that. It's important that the democratic foundations of Albania are strong, that the elections are open, and that the Albanian public has democratic choice. So we'd very much like to see a dialogue that results in an agreement on electoral reforms consistent with the OSCE oh dear recommendations and a path back to normalcy in Albanian democracy.
Thank you.
Speaking about your question on advanced regional cooperation, as we call it, that we started to establish between Albania, North Macedonia, and Serbia, just need to stress, just need to emphasize three important facts. Number one, we are going to face a lot of stumbling blocks on our way, and that's why I'm very much grateful to US, to World Economic Forum, to EBRD, to some other institutions that supported that project in a very open way. And that's what I said to Mr. Palmer very recently in Belgrade, and I'm very much satisfied that he confirmed that kind of support to that project even today. Number two, we're going to hear a lot of different voices on what that might mean in the future, because some people would say, well, that is, Serbia is using that because they don't want to see Pristina in that group of countries, which is not true at all. That's one of the most important issues for us. We want to have Pristina in and Sarajevo and Podgorica as well, but it's up to them to decide on that. And number three, there are many people within the European Union that are reluctant about it because they are not exactly in the chair. But it's not my problem. And we are not, as I already said, we are not juveniles, we are not minors anymore. We want to take care of ourselves. We are on our EU path. Tell us what you want with us, but we need to cut our operational costs for our trucks. We need to secure free flow of goods, people, services, and capital. These are four very important freedoms for European Union. We inherited that as a main idea, you know, and we'll try and we'll do our best to cooperating on all these ideas with European Union as well. Da odgovorim na srpskom, ja nemam problem sa svim tim ko će da nam pomogne, ko neće da nam pomogne. Mi smo sebi pomogli najviše. Srbija danas nema problema sa javnim dugom, spustili smo javni dug sa 78% na 52%. Srbija je ekonomski napredovala, mi smo i dalje siromašni, ali napredujemo bržim korakom nego mnogi drugi. I naše je da nastavimo da radimo, provodit ćemo reforme u skladu sa našim evropskim putem, ali ćemo sarađivati i sa svima ostalima u svetu. I mi nećemo da bežimo od saradnje. Ni sa Amerikom, ali ni sa Kinom, ni sa Rusijom, ni sa svima drugima gde vidimo korist za našu zemlju. I ko što vidite, ja to mrtav, hladan kažem na svakom mestu i nimalo se ne sekiram ko će šta da mi kaže. To je pozicija jedne nezavisne, suverene zemlje koja donosi odluke o sebi, koja bira svoju budućnost i gradi svoju budućnost na najbolji način. Ko će da nas podrži, ko neće, njihova stvar. Da plačemo i da molimo bilo koga za bilo šta, ne pada mi na pamet. Hvala još jednom.
Prime Minister Plenković.
If I may just refer briefly, because of the question that a little bit opened today's debate in the media in Croatia and most likely Serbia, and since President Vučić referred to it, I would just like to say a few points that the fact that the military commander of JNA from 91, who was attacking city of Vukovar for 3 months, where 2,200 people died, will today be honored with the commemoration plaque in Novi Sad, is something that will be a subject of a formal protest of Croatia vis-à-vis the authorities of Serbia. President knows that. I have told him this during this morning. The point that I would like to make is that issues of reconciliation and normalization of relations are critical one for the future of good neighborliness in the region. For the European perspective, the example like this is good to show to the wider public how delicate the whole atmosphere is still and how much we need to work to be more future-oriented, seeking the truth and trying to settle the recent history that was burdening the relations of our countries in last 30 years. When it comes to the EPP Congress, I will just repeat what I said yesterday. Mr. Vučić, as leader of the Serbian Progress Party, is invited, as all the other leaders of the entire EPP family. It is up to him to decide whether he will participate at this event in Zagreb. Thank you.
President Vučić.
I need to say something in English as well, because someone might think that I was referring only to something that Serbian military did, or Serbian military is doing within its own premises, not in the squares, not in the streets. But I got the questions from all Serbian medias. Why don't we put the question to Croatia and on Croatia? Why do they have streets dedicated to the guy that was asking for expulsion of 1/3 of Serbs from Croatia and extermination of 1/3 of Serbs, and then for the last third of Serbs to be converted into Catholicism, and why they built a big monument to the convicted terrorist by Swedish judiciary, not by Serbian courts in their country. And I said to them, just for all the others, for Elmar and all the others, Suzanne and all the other people, I said that I would like to discuss the other issues, the issues from the future, where I don't see strategic problems in cooperation with Croatia, between Serbia and Croatia, and it would be good if we will care a bit more about future and a bit less about the past. And we can always, believe me, find more reasons to criticize the other side. You can take both positions. Our position or Croatian position doesn't matter. But I would really like to see more talks on future. And I was adding in my second reply, in my second answer, that of course I'll take care of that, and I'll see whether I'll go to Zagreb or not, but I'll do it on behalf and for the sake of Serbian people, and I'll take care of our bilateral relationship as well, not to harm them even more. And that's why I'm going to make this decision very soon.
Big thank you to all of our panelists for joining us and for taking part in the strategic dialogue. I know there will be opportunities individually to follow up with them after this meeting concludes. Thank you.